Everybody a minute to sign in if you have not yet already signed in. We're trying to make sure we hit quorum, and then we'll begin. Let me give it another minute. Well, all right, it is 2:35. We're going to get the show on the road. Just a quick reminder that if you wish to speak and you do not have a microphone near you, you have to get up out of your chair and go to the microphones to speak. The stream cannot pick up your voice even if you're loud, okay? The stream still will not hear you. So you have to talk into the microphone, please. So really quickly, although I might have to ask again. So we're looking into a new possible way to vote electronically and also to do attendance electronically. I've been working with Brian Millville, and this is how CWC votes. I believe this is how general education votes, using Microsoft Forms and things like that. So it's entirely doable for us, but I need to we are a one-to-one, supposed to be a one-to-one device campus. Is there anyone that does not have access to bringing a laptop or at least having your email on your phone? So if we decided to start utilizing Microsoft Forms for voting, would that be manageable? Okay. So from now on, you have to bring a device so you can get your email. Starting now. All right. All right, so a few things I wanted to talk about before we begin our Senate meeting. So yesterday was Indigenous Peoples Day, which is celebrating our Native American culture and people of the United States of America. So a couple of the things that I wanted to bring up, because I like to try to bring in different pieces from outside of math. But so Joy Harjo is our current poet laureate, and she is Native American, and this is actually also her second term, third term as poet laureate, which is unheard of. This has never been done to have 3 terms as our poet laureate for the United States of America. So I pulled up her website. All you got to do is Google her, Joy Harjo. She's got great stuff out there as well. Another thing I wanted to also bring, I just finished this. It's called The Night Watchman, and it is written by Louise Erdrich. And what it is, it talks and chronicles about the history of her grandfather, who was a big advocate for our Native Americans in the Midwest, in North Dakota. So a lot of it is, it's a historical fiction. It talks about the emancipation of Native Americans, but really it is about what restrictions we put on them. And it also touches on the MMIW movement, which is the Murdered Missing Indigenous Women And there is a character in the book as well that falls under that category. And those are really big problems that way back in 1953 to today, but it also goes back further. If you actually look in and do a little bit of history research, and there's Disney movies about Pocahontas, but she is probably the first missing murdered indigenous woman of the United States of America when she was taken back over to England and then just disappeared. That's something to celebrate this month. I know SGA and our Deans of Students did a Red Shirt Day in September, which was awesome, and it was pretty orange shirt day. What did I say, purple? Red. All right, sorry, it was an orange shirt day. That was last month. And then also with October, we are just coming up on the end of our National Hispanics Heritage Month, as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I believe yesterday might have also been Coming Out Day, National Coming Out Day for our LGBTQ community. So lots of things to celebrate in the month of October for us and for our students and for our community. Also, so we know I ran into Tahira in the hallway, one of our systems librarians at South Campus, but there are displays at each of the 3 campuses in the libraries for all of these areas. If you want to pick up a historical fiction, pick up some poems, or anything along those lines to learn a little bit more about the different heritages that we are celebrating this month. Okay, so Bill Reuter is unable to be here today, so he's watching from afar. Hello, Bill. And he'll be back next month. We also do not have the COVID-19 task force update on here. I got Amy and Mark who are watching from afar. Hello. They are unable to attend as well today. As far as our COVID-19 update, we've had the deadline of last Friday for our students to turn in their COVID cards. And as of Friday, we had 107 students that were removed from our schedule. 7 students since then have been reinstated since today, and there are still students that are sending emails with their vaccination status. So we are at 98% compliance right now with our student population, and then cross-referencing a lot of the students that are left over are some of our students that have stopped also attending. So we're in really good shape and as far as that is concerned. And Amy Yoder wanted me to do a shout out for our volunteers because people were calling our students nonstop. We were emailing, we were calling, we were sending letters to try to make sure that we dropped the least amount of students possible. And with that, we're less than 2%, so nice job to all of them and for the team to get all of our students up to where they need to be. So where are we with compliance or with attendance? So I'm going to wait a few more minutes before we do the approval of the minutes for our September meeting. I want to make sure we get a few more bodies in here before we do that. So with that, we're going to go right to old business, and just give me a second to pull up a document from way back in 2019. Where'd it go? Isn't it there? I'm talking to myself up here and realize that everyone home on the stream is probably like she's talking to herself. I am. I'm looking for, it's in June, August. I'm just going to pull up the August meeting from 19 because that's where it lives. Well, it's September. So in September 2019, we voted on a student academic complaint process. Everything is fine with this resolution. What I'm trying to do every month is do a little bit of review of some of the good work that we've done, some of the good work that is going to be done in the college, and also a few things that I may have heard through the grapevine that people forgot about. So what I'm hearing is that the student complaint process isn't quite being followed through proper channels. Students are calling in, and instead of being referred through the actual real process, they're being sent straight to deans or higher, which is not part of the actual complaint process. And it clogs up everything that they need to do as well, and it just makes the whatever the issue is take longer to be resolved. So the proper procedure for a student complaint, if it is academic, is to talk to the instructor. And if the student and the instructor cannot come up with a resolution that the student is satisfied with, then it goes to the department chair, all right? And then, again, if it's not satisfied at the department chair level, then it goes to the academic dean. And then anything beyond that point, we would look into pursuing the complaint process one step further. So again, what I'm hearing is maybe people are calling our switchboard, or they're calling the welcome center, or they're getting a hold of whoever's answering phones, and things are getting hit right out to deans because no one, not for any reason, but other than perhaps not knowing what the appropriate response is for our students, and also what the appropriate steps are for an academic complaint. If it's a non-academic complaint, a lot of things can be taken care of through our help desk. So our computer help desk, any issue with technology anywhere and all of the things can be addressed through the computer help desk ticket. And if there's an issue, there's a spill in the hallway or anything along those lines, again, that can be a maintenance help desk ticket, but it also is as simple as a conversation with a faculty or staff member, hey, there's a spill, and the faculty or staff member can put it in. Or if there's a technical issue, hey, let me show you how to do it, or like, let's put a ticket in, anything like that. I know I've done that for a few students because they didn't know what their username was. So, and we couldn't find it through the different methods available, so we put a ticket together and then solved the issue. So talk to the instructor, then it goes to the chair, then it goes to the dean, and then if it's not a resolution at that point, it goes one step further. But always talk to your instructor and refer to the instructor and then the chair before we go to the deans. Is there anything anyone wants to add? Did I miss anything with that? Katrina.
Colleen, I believe the issue also has to do with student affairs concerns. So our structure is a little different in that based on the originating department or a complaint about a specific department, the student or staff person that's assisting should contact the director for the department for a resolution.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, anyone else needs for clarity regarding the process? All right, great. Okay, Governance Committee, Michael Rio.
We just have an update. We're still trying to fill vacancies. If you would like to make a recommendation for divisional representatives, we're looking for Technology North, South, and City, Liberal Arts North, and City. There's a vacancy for electronic technicians, and we are still looking to fill some of the non-voting liaison seats that can be reviewed on the membership page. That might be up there soon, but please email Colleen or myself at senategovernance.ecc.edu to make those recommendations, and we can get appointments in there and fill those seats. As far as the executive committee vacancy, we have received no nominations at this time, so I would move that we postpone that vote until November. And that's governance for updates.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. I I don't know why this is not letting me, let me pull up any documents that might have been posted, so I'm just gonna go out and back in again. All right. Yeah, it's still not doing it. Yeah, let me try that. Yay, technology, although it could be an operator error too, so. All right, there we go. So let's go with it, it's an operator error. All right, so there they are. These are our list of vacant seats, quite a bit at North. We have three liberal arts at North, and one at City. We have an at-large, so what at-large means, it's anyone in the college community can be an at-large member. You don't have to be teaching faculty. You can be AECC, FFECC, AFSCME, CSEA. Michael?
That's anybody at the college, so that would include student employees as well, or someone that's not in a collective bargaining unit.
Perfect. So yeah, anyone at the college. So there is our list. And then, again, if you're interested in the seat, we'll be moving that vote to November, since we have not had any nominations. All right. Starfish. The Starfish Task Force has not had an opportunity to meet, so I'm going to remove that from the agenda. That is something that is, on the list of things to do, but as we know, with the snafu of the 3-week rosters, there was a lot of things that we had to take care of to make sure we got that through smoothly. So that's in, that's done. So we'll be moving forward and trying to get that group back together now that everything's settled down after 3 weeks. Guided Pathways, we just had our Institute 4 meeting last week. Andy and Nessie, you want to, hey. Institute 4, Guided Pathways, would you like to share?
Thanks, Colleen. Yeah, the Institute was held 2 weeks ago. Our work team from the Institute met last week. It's going to be the beginning of probably 2 or 3 more weeks of post-work activities. So really we're taking the information that we had developed as ideas before the Institute, and now based on the information that we heard are going to create some action items. So week 2 and 3 of the post-work that's occurring really is going to be intended to set the next steps from what we got out of Institute 4. As we go forward, the hope is that we're going to take the Institute teams that attended 1, 2, 3, and 4 and bring those together at a convening, potentially college day or convocation, so that those teams can then share the specifics of that institute that they attended, as well as get feedback from the college community on their initiatives and ideas to go forward.
Great. Thank you very much. Oh. All right. Any questions for Andy with Guided Pathways? Okay, and then as Andy mentioned, we're going to be doing a larger push to get all of the work that's been done, and we've had a smattering of different individuals throughout the college community that has helped us at each of the institutes, and we'll be coming together to put it all in one big package to make sure we deliver to everybody and we can implement some of the great ideas and the hard work that everyone's done so far. Middle States. Erickson.
I'll take it.
I was trying to figure out who you were pointing at.
So yeah, the Middle States Committee has been working diligently over the last few weeks. We are in the process now of gathering supplemental information for the Middle States Review Team. Dr. Edwards, who is the review chair from Camden Community College, has been communicating with Kathy, myself, Audium, regularly with requests for additional information. And so I really want to thank each of the different departments and people, especially with everything that's going on, to be able to get us that supplemental information, because it's really important that not only is the information accurate, but that we are able to get that information in a timely manner to the review team. We're currently in the process of gathering who and what departments the Middle States Review Team will like to meet with during their virtual visit, which, as a reminder, is November 1st, and then they will be leaving on November 4th. So if you are asked, and we'll make an announcement of this in the coming weeks, please try to accommodate your schedule as best as possible to participate in this. It's a really great opportunity to showcase in your own words the accomplishments the school has done. And we'll be holding information sessions before the visit in November to help prepare people to feel comfortable and confident if there is a visit or a meeting that you do attend.
Great. Do you want to talk about the adjunct forums?
Oh, the forums, yes. I'm like, forums? So yes, we also want to get the adjuncts involved in this process as well. And there are 3 sessions that are going to be held for the adjunct faculty to ask questions, to help them feel confident in this process as well. The first one is this upcoming Friday from 3 to 4 p.m., Saturday 10 to 11. Yes, and then Tuesday in the afternoon. And so if any faculty, adjunct faculty, would like to participate in that, it's a great opportunity to ask us questions, gather more information about the Middle States review process.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for our Middle States team? All righty. I know with the evidence gathering, some of the things that, it's a lot of the times it's things that are already there somewhere that some of us have, but might not be easy to be found or whatever. So it's been a really nice process for us, even as the College Senate executive team, to make sure that even though we have like minutes and things, to make sure they're actually where people can find them and all that kind of process. So it's really been helpful to also make sure that we have all of our organizations ready to go. And usually when they ask for evidence, it's usually a pretty quick thing to find. Erickson.
And to add on to that, and thank you, Colleen, for reminding me, in these next few weeks, because we're working on that November 1st deadline for when they're going to arrive, if you do receive any requests for additional information, I understand the demands of your schedule, absolutely, I want to respect that, but please try to get that information to us as fast as possible, because the sooner that we can get that to them, we can then address and clarify any questions that they may have. And so over these next 2-3 weeks, please, 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 really try to work on getting us that information as soon as you can.
Great, thank you. It is crunch time, and so far we have gotten really great positive feedback from our Middle States reviewer, and we want to make sure that we maintain that great positive feedback. And so if it means, doing a little extra during the day to get those evidence in order and where they need to be, then that's good for all. All right, so before we move into new business, we do have a quorum. So at this time, I would like to take a motion to approve the minutes from the September meeting. Tom, thank you. Second, Dorothy, thank you. Okay, all in favor of approval? Not in favor? Abstain? All right, and the motion passes. The September meeting minutes have been accepted. Okay, so with that, we have another election. I guess sort of another vote. So when General Education and CWCC, our college-wide curriculum committee came underneath the Senate, one of the things that we are doing is to approve co-chairs. Last month we did CWCC, and so then this month we will be doing the General Education Committee. So Erickson, Nealons, and Bill Falls have been the head of this committee for a while, and they have been put forward as to continue as co-chairs. So at this time, I would like to take a motion to approve co-chairs Erickson, Nealons, and Bill Falls. Bill Nichols, second Derek Bateman. Thank you very much. And all those in favor? Not in favor? Abstain? All right, congratulations. You get to keep your job. It's just like fourth job with the college. I mean, if we want to be clear, his real job is teaching, like many of us in here, and then we have all these other things that we do to make sure that the school runs smoothly and all of those things. And so again, thank you, Erickson and Bill, for all of your hard work and everybody on that committee. So with that, we also, Brian Millville reminded me that we have a monthly report from the groups, and there were two things that were voted on at CWCC in the past month. And Brian, if you want to talk about them real quick.
Yeah, sure. So that we had two things we voted on. One was this SUNY 1A form, which is a program announcement for a new AOS degree. All right, so this is going to be sent to SUNY, and it'll be followed up with a SUNY 2A to, assuming the board approves that and the Senate approves that, to propose this new degree that's going to be in conjunction with some local dealerships. All right, and that was the committee votes on the screen there. And the other motion vote we had was for a new micro-credential, and this is in EMT. It's a single course. It's EG 113, I believe, and that course will help them prepare to take New York State certification exam at the end of the course. And that's it in terms of the votes. I just do want to put a plug in for any programs and any deans that know about any programs that need to be changed or have any revisions or new programs, just to try to get to us within the fall semester. We've got a couple more meetings left, but if you do need to go through the SUNY and SED process, it takes a couple of months at the minimum, sometimes often longer. So the sooner you can do that, the better.
Great, thank you for the reminder, Brian. Brian, would you like to make a motion to accept this report?
If I can, I will make that motion.
Great, who would like to second it? I don't know your name. Our friend from SGA.
Mohammed.
Mohammed seconds it, thank you. Any objections? All right, so we will accept that with consent. Thank you very much. So I'm practicing all our voting before we start doing electronic next month so that we can learn a new process. But all right, so next up on the docket are two potential policy and governance committees for the Board of Trustees. They were sent in through Academic Standards with Joanne Komarauer and Jim Barrell. Do you want to talk about them a little bit one at a time? Yeah. So right now today, these are up for discussion and feedback. Okay, thank you, Joanne. I have grades and academic standing grading system up first, if that works. You want me to do the other one? You want to scroll? Yeah. You want to scroll? Yeah. All right, yeah. I'll switch spots with you.
Is it up here? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. Jim, do you mind if I take this? You're what? Oh, yeah, I have it. So the grades, we updated two policies over the summer. Through academic standards, we had a subcommittee that we formed. I'll show you the members of that subcommittee. Oh, I gotta use the mic. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so we formed this subcommittee. We met, I believe, 6 times over the summer virtually. We had a nice collection of faculty, counselors, and staff that participated. The purpose of these meetings, we updated 2 policies, the grading policy and the grade change policy. So I'm not going to take a lot of time today to explain. I'm just going to point out a few highlights. What I'd like to do is have a little discussion and have you guys review these, and then the next Senate meeting, maybe we can have a vote. I think that's what Colleen had suggested that we do. So I wanted to scroll because I just wanted to point out the highlights of each. Okay, so this is the grade change policy, or this is the grading policy. And the biggest changes on here, this bottom area that you see, starting with CC and down to CE, this was added just because it was in the catalog, but it was not in the previous policy. So that isn't too big of a deal, but we just added some prefixes that will be used on transcripts moving forward. For the P grade, the difference here is that we extended, the old policy said that in order to do a P grade, you had to request that within the first week of, within the first month of class. We decided we wanted to give students a little longer for a P grade request, so we extended that to the last day to withdraw. So that was just an extension of the request for a P grade. We spent a lot of time on the I grades. Those are incompletes. Those took a lot of, they came to front and center during the pandemic, so a lot of attention was put on I grades. The changes we made here, we eliminated the need for, it used to be that a student had to have 3/4 of the course completed before they could request an I. We eliminated that requirement. However, we replaced it with a statement that just said it has to be after the withdrawal date. So before the withdrawal date, a student should withdraw if they can't do the course for whatever reason. If it's after the withdrawal date, that's where an I grade comes in. But it doesn't necessarily have to be 3/4 anymore. That's what was the recommendation. We also added a requirement that the student had to have a passing average at that time. That was not in the previous policy. And we also added a statement that an I grade would be the sole discretion of an instructor. So those were the highlights of what we added for the I grades. We added a purpose statement for I grades that you can read. This was not in the previous policy, but we felt there should be an intent and about I grades. And let's see. We also added that department chair people will arrange for the I grade if the faculty member is unavailable. That was not in the policy before, but we run into problems with adjuncts doing this. And what else did we do? Oh, we added this statement about, I didn't know this before I found it out, a student can't graduate if they have an I grade on their transcript. So we had to add that into the policy because that was, the registrar would stop them before, but it wasn't noted anywhere in the policy. And we want that to be in the catalog. So those are the highlights of the I grade changes. For W's, we just eliminated the statement in the past, students would go on academic probation if they withdrew from too many courses. That is no longer the case. So we just eliminated that from that section. And then from there below, starting with the students may repeat a course. This is all new. It was not in the previous policy. You guys can read through this. Again, we'll vote on this next time. We really felt there should be policy on repeating courses. And the biggest thing that we stressed and talked over was that only the highest grade of all the attempts will be counted in the cumulative average. That needed to be clearer. This is some of this verbiage. We had Andy Heisey from English. Is Andy here? No. He did a lot of writing for us because he's an English guy. So he wrote some of these statements for us. These are all, you can just read through them. I think one that will spark some interest will be that we did include a statement that said all students will be assigned a midterm grade and a final grade in every course. So every one of these new statements that got put in here were recommendations from SUNY, their governance on grades. It's this SUNY Memorandum to Presidents, Guidance Campus Grading Procedures, dated 2013. We're a little bit behind in getting this done. So you can read through those. If we want to have some discussion on any of these are new. All of the end stuff is new. This is the committee that was worked together over the summer for this. Any
Great. So,
questions?
questions?
Joanne,
Patty?
you indicated that this was not a new policy, and yet your document says it's a new policy, so I'm a little confused right from the get-go on that one.
Up here?
Yeah, it says that it is
No, it's
new.
right here. It's edited.
And do we have a copy of the edited policy? I thought those were usually redlined and attached so that we could see what changes we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I do have it. Did I submit you the red line? No, okay, I do have it. I'll
Because
get
we
it
would
out.
need that for thorough discussion. I'm
Okay.
just a bit concerned about the process and where the emphasis for, where this idea came from. Has there been a problem with our previous policy, which I wasn't able to see because it wasn't attached? And there are things there that are negotiable, so they're contractual, so it will have to go through the FFECC. There are things that the broader faculty community need to address, so I know that this was not brought before the Faculty Caucus of the Senate. And I suspect that there will be heated discussion. Well, you have it up there. The midterm grade has not been required, and many faculty, myself included, feel it is a minefield for faculty and their students. It creates confusion. We're accused of misrepresenting them. I've had irate parents. I've had irate students. I had an A at midterm. Well, yeah, and then you did no work for the next 7 weeks, and now you're going to fail the course. It is not, in many courses, a reasonable predictor of success. I feel like I'm doing the investment disclaimer. Many faculty do not do it because they feel it is so easily misconstrued by our students and sets them up for more confusion and more failure. So just looking at that one that's on the screen right now, there are many things in here that we're going to have to go through very, very carefully. I'm not even sure that we will be ready for a vote next month if there are significant revisions.
Okay, anybody else? I don't know.
Kathy Colesto? Yeah, talk at the microphone.
Sorry. I even sat by one. I had some things that I was a little confused by. So in the previous policy, it said under F, unsatisfactory attendance, and it said that one thing that has come to CWCC quite often is the discussion about whether or not attendance requirements can be used as a grading policy in a classroom. So that was something that has been either removed or deemed unenforceable by previous deans. So it seems that the fact that it's still a remnant on this is a little contradictory to some of the conversations we've been having.
I think, am I allowed to comment?
Yeah, go
back?
ahead.
I think we eliminated attendance from here.
It's under the listing, A through beyond Z,
Oh, it's up here?
for F.
Oh, yeah, we missed that because actually down here, we deliberated about that quite a bit and we eliminated mention of attendance. Right here, these final grades come from evaluations such as tests, papers, presentations, demonstrations, and anything else established in the outline and included in the syllabus. But we intentionally removed the word attendance from that. We debated about that, it went back and forth, and we decided we would eliminate attendance, because we didn't even want it included in the list, since we are not an attendance-required school. But I think we missed including it or scratching it from here, wherever it is, here.
The other thing, the previous policy said the unofficial withdrawal was no longer used after 1988-89. If you scroll up, it's right there.
Yeah.
So we're used to seeing, at least I am, so this might be my own ignorance, but I'm used to seeing X on a stack form, meaning that the student dropped.
Right.
So I don't know if that's still relevant.
Yeah,
I just have a few more. I disagreed with the removal of the 3/4 completion requirement as a point of reference for students and thinking when an incomplete should be requested. I think students need to have a baseline expectation of what would make them successful when approaching a faculty member regarding the request. I also had a concern, the statement you said about the withdrawal, the W.
Up here again?
Yeah, when you said that you took out the probation information, I do think we should still be warning students if they withdraw from courses that it might have a financial aid impact. So it might not have a probation impact, but it will have a financial aid impact, and that's no longer in here. It is in the next section, but I think the way it's written, I almost interpret, so it says that last page that you said was all new stuff.
Yeah.
The last sentence of the first paragraph, it says, a student's financial aid may impact the number of times a student can retake a course. I'm wondering if that's not actually the other way around. The number of times a student retakes a course unsuccessfully will also impact their financial aid. And then
Yeah.
I had significant concerns about the next two sentences. I found those almost offensive, that those would have to be in a policy because that is how I run my class. So I don't know why that needs to be. Of course, I'm going to grade my students based on what my syllabi said.
So I have answers to a lot of that, but I don't know if I do it now or do it, these are specifically in that SUNY guidance document. So that SUNY guidance memorandum, we had listed all of these things that SUNY told us should be in grading policies. And I believe the midterm grade is another one of them. So we used the guidance that we got from SUNY in 2013 for much of this these added items. So without having that, so I could respond to this with that SUNY guidance document memorandum and the redlined version, and kind of take it from there. It did, Patty, to respond to you, it did not go to I don't know what you said, the caucus, the faculty caucus, the process that I follow with policies is academic standards, subcommittee, back to academic standards, to College Senate, to the Board of Trustees policy committee, and then to the Board of Trustees. So I didn't know about
If there are items in a policy which contradict protections in our contract, you must get approval, or you must negotiate, give it to the unions so that it can be reviewed.
Okay, I didn't know there
Otherwise-
was anything that was contractual in here, so
Well, changing the midterm grade, I believe, there's a change in here that was indicated that there would be more work for chairs if,
Yep.
there are issues that we have the right to observe and review. There's also, lacks a little clarity in terms of if there is a disagreement on a grade change, what happens then?
that's the grade change policy. We haven't even gotten there
That's
yet.
the other
That
one.
one's
Okay.
next.
Yeah,
All right.
that one's next.
Let me
I've
get a
got-
few
I've
more
got 20
people.
notes.
Jim Barrow?
You're saying, your argument regarding what's negotiable, that's a very touchy area. We don't think like that. You can't think like that. We've had a lot of policies that come through this same Senate, so the precedent has been set, and never, ever once have we gone to the AAECC, which is being eliminated out of here too, as well as the FFECC. We create policies for the college and for the students that align with Middle State's process. If we're going to start negotiating individual things that can and can't be done in policies, we will never, ever get anything done. And all those other policies would have to be revisited. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. We're never going to be able to move forward.
Okay, Jackie Bossman?
I'm very short, excuse me. I'm not sure if someone has the answer to this question regarding the SUNY guidelines that inspired some of the statements here, including the midterm grade, but how much faculty participation went into the creation of those SUNY guidelines. If someone has the answer to that question, that would be great. not to like plug FCCC, but if you don't have an answer to that question, maybe I can ask FCCC. We do have our plenary this week, and I could bring up this guideline and document if it would help this conversation.
That would be great,
Very good.
Jackie, thank you.
It
Kathy
goes
Colasco?
back to 2013, so it's been a while. But maybe they could give us some, update
I
on
just
that.
wanted to follow up on and agree with Patty's concern about the midterm grade. In my classes, my final project starts after midterm and is over 50% of the final grade. So that student has that really doesn't help them.
Okay, Jim?
The mention of putting midterm grades in there is because we needed to provide, middle states would agree that through assessment, we have to provide ongoing feedback to students. So at the very minimum, putting at a midterm grade and a final grade is really all we have. This same group has talked about using Starfish as a retention tool, yet the negotiation for using Starfish has never been brought up before. So we got to be very careful about this. You know, we're trying to retain students. Simply putting a midterm grade is one small, non-perfect. I agree wholeheartedly, it's not perfect, but neither is Starfish. Yet we've promoted the use of Starfish as a retention tool, as a feedback. So again, we're going to be going and negotiating individual lines here. We're never going to get anywhere. And that would go back to a lot of the other policies that we've already approved.
Okay, Sabrina?
I agree with what Kathy had to say about the incompletes. I also didn't quite like the older policy. I think 3/4, by the time you get through 3/4, the student is already passing. So I thought that was a little high, but I do think there needs to be a baseline, and there are other considerations about the incompletes. I frankly would welcome a more extensive venue to comment on this.
I'll just comment back at the incomplete thing, Kathy, you brought, and we went over that incomplete, didn't we? Like, probably a full meeting was just about incompletes. There was a lot of discussion about that, and we went back and forth about that 3/4, and Jim, do you have a comment or
Yep, Jim?
history on it?
Yeah, the 3/4, the reason why we took it out is how is it going to be measured?
Right.
How do you measure that? And so the intent with the original withdrawal date was always withdrawal dates are usually done around 3/4 at a time when the semester was done. So we said that would be, instead of putting the 3/4 in, we took that out and used the withdrawal date as the other target.
Okay. Bill?
Well, I guess I'm trying not to hop around, but I am. But going back to the midterm grade portion of it, saying that something's required for middle states, aren't we required to keep our grades, and maybe it's just me, in Blackboard up to date at all times, so my students always know where they're at? That's not actually required. Okay, well, then it's just me.
Thank you, Bill. I do the same thing. Jackie?
So yeah, just the question about midterm grades, and also with this, I guess is the motivation behind this that there's some sort of requirement for measurable feedback, and then the presumption is that midterm and final grades are the only options we have because Starfish is not functioning properly, or we haven't figured that out yet, or is that what we're saying here? I'm just curious.
At least I'll reflect on that. It's recommended by SUNY for midterm grades, and then the feeling with the committee was that the need for consistent feedback for students throughout the semester. That's, I think, what the intent was.
Jackie?
And that feedback, it's required that it's measured according to, is that the requirement? That the feedback's measured? Because I mean, like, I give a lot of, I guess I would say, unless my lectures or office hours are being recorded or filmed, I would say I give a lot of maybe what would be called like objectively not measurable feedback to my students, right? And I mean, I'm just curious.
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, I have a quick question about the midterm grades. Would it be satisfactory to just give a pass-fail, or does it have to be an actual letter grade calculated with, because it seems to me if you could give a pass-fail, that would eliminate a lot of these problems. To just say somebody's passing or failing at the midterm, that gives them feedback, and a lot more latitude when you give the final grade. So I don't know, is that permissible? Because I've been doing pass-fail since I started here for midterm grades. I don't give an actual letter. I don't know if I've been doing it wrong, or in the future I should give a letter. It's just to give them an idea. It's really just, in my mind, to flag the people that are failing.
Right, I don't know, it's a good question. We didn't, indicate that, but I suppose, since Ps are included in this, we didn't indicate either way, so I guess my initial answer would be, yeah, I guess it would be. You could put a P or an F.
Okay,
It's good.
Sabrina.
Thank
It's
you.
a good question.
Thank you, Tom.
Well, another question about the incomplete is the thing about the student fails automatically if the I isn't resolved. So if that's the case, why would any student who was passing the class want an incomplete? It demotivates students who are doing well from, who perhaps at the end of the semester had something come up that's going to blow their A or B in the class. And if they don't finish that assignment, then all of a sudden they're going to fail when they would have passed.
Right, and then I'm going to go with one more comment. Katrina.
I just wanted to add, to give the group a little bit of food for thought. So I manage a lot of grants that are opportunity grants for at-risk students. And so therefore, a lot of my directors and case managers reach out to each of you asking for you to provide midterm grades to them for their caseloads and rosters in order to provide assistance so that we can provide wraparound services to our students. A lot of these grants have sponsors like Buffalo Public Schools, and they require midterm grades in order to pay the institution for tuition. So there's a number of other reasons that we would want to at least try to figure out a system for midterm grades, and using Say Yes and BPS and those programs, middle college students, their sponsors require a midterm grade.
Thank you. That's a really good point to know. Thank you. Appreciate it. So what I'm going to say with going forward, now that we have this policy, we know it's referencing the SUNY, we have the Faculty Council of Community Colleges plenary coming up where we can also get additional information. And then Joanne, I'll have you send me the red line version.
And the
then
SUNY document.
Beautiful. And the SUNY document, I'll get them out to the Faculty Caucus of the Senate listserv, and we'll make sure that is one of the items that we are going to discuss. There's another policy. You ready?
Yeah, do we have the energy for another?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at you.
Yeah, that's funny. I ate my weenies before I came.
Good, good. And again, this is part of what we're supposed to be doing here as this body, is things come to us and it's for discussion because we need to know all those things. We need the student perspective. Like Katrina's point, I didn't know that. I mean, I guess I knew it, but I forgot that. So that's why these things come here, so that we can discuss this and you can chew it over also, and then we can discuss it further. So this is the grade change policy. This one is new.
Yep. All right. Thanks. Okay, this one is a new policy. We did not have a Board of Trustees policy about grade change before. That SUNY document told us that we should have one. So here it is. Our proposed anyway, so it is listed as new. All that we had was in the college catalog, we had this statement, so there is no redlined version of this. Our catalog had this statement in it, that it can be changed only if an error has been made in computation or in recording. And they have to submit a change of grade form, and it has to be done within 2 years. So that's what's in the catalog, but again, no Board of Trustees policy. So we took this cut and paste out of the SUNY guidance document, the appropriate reasons for grade corrections or changes, and they include these 4 bullets. It basically is errors or omissions, things that happened. We didn't specifically say this about, discrimination, bias, retaliation. So these are cut and pasted right from the SUNY document. We did review them. We all agreed with them. So these are the reasons that grade changes are appropriate. Here are the reasons that grade changes are not appropriate. And again, kind of cut and pasted from the SUNY guidance document. We reviewed them, we agreed with all of them. You can read through those. Scrolling through. Grade changes are permissible within 2 years. That has not changed. We kept that. We did add a statement about grade changes are not permitted after graduation is certified. We learned that from the registrar, so we added that to that statement. So it's still a 2-year time frame, so we didn't change that. This is new. We can't accept them from third parties, but they're new, again, kind of cut and pasted from that SUNY document. Third parties we can't take them from third parties. The instructor of record must submit the grade change. That was in that catalog statement. We just added if the instructor is not available, the change of grade becomes the responsibility of the department chair or head, and that was in here in the catalog. Department coordinator was mentioned there, so that's not really new. By the department, a grade change must be submitted, so that doesn't change either. That they submitted to the registrar. Let's see. Okay, the biggest difference here, I think, is that we wanted to add, well, let me see, students must be notified. I'm losing my grade change must be approved. Student must be notified. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to point out the big differences. Documentation will be stored. Oh. The thing that we added here was that there would be more approvals on these. So here, this statement, grade changes must be approved by the department chair and the academic dean. That is new. We didn't have that before. The reason, and then down here we mention the approval again. What I do have to say is when and if this policy gets approved, we have to create a system for that, either in Workday or a form, because that has not been the case. In the past, instructors have just been able to change a grade. The subcommittee agreed that there should be approvals. Apparently, there is some history. Jim, if you want to comment.
Yeah, I want to jump in. One thing that was, when we had spoken with, and both of the registrars were at our meetings too, and Andy, but apparently there's been a history of grade changes that have been going on without any oversight. And we were blown away by that. So that can't happen. So we just had to build in some type of oversight. And when asked about records of that, about, do we know how many this was done? And no, and then we were told that potentially in Workday that it might be easier to change a grade after grades are in. I don't think that's true.
Could you
I think that's
explain the
been a
logic of why oversight is needed to question a professor's professional decision-making in relationship with their students? This doesn't make sense to me.
For all the reasons why a grade might be changed after the date, just to create some oversight. Back not long ago, we had a big scandal with grades. I've been here long enough to know that. I won't bring it up, and it was a big issue in the Buffalo News. And at that time, a new process was put in place that grades couldn't be changed after deadline dates without some type of approval, just to make sure.
And if there's a disagreement, if my chair and I, Derek, and I would never disagree, disagreed on a grade change, what then happens?
I don't know, that would be a whole nother issue.
Well, you've got in here that...
Hang on, I'm the chair. I'm in charge. Kathy Calesto.
I just would like to point out that the SUNY document that was referenced in writing this states that this campus policies and procedures for grade changes should enable the instructor of record to make grade corrections when errors were made without excessive procedural steps.
Yeah, we do have the instructor of record. The approval process was definitely, that was an ECC subcommittee addition to it because of some past history with grade changes at the college, that there was consensus that there should be some kind of approval associated with it. We don't have, with the other ones, like the incomplete, we have an addendum, that's the form. We don't have the process yet to do these approvals because it would probably be done in Workday, and at the time Rochelle didn't know how to do that. So, but that was a homegrown ECC decision, not a SUNY document decision.
Katrina.
Recommendation, I should say.
Joanne, just in terms of forms, so it looks like you indicate the policy on academic decisions, but it's not listed in the drop-down menu as one of the reasons that a grade change may be needed.
Oh.
So you acknowledge the policy, which could include a grade change, but it's not listed in the list of reasons.
I think the, well, I'll go back to, I think the reasoning here is the statement is just that we won't accept grade appeals from like parents.
Right.
So that's, and
So
from
if
third
you
parties.
go-
So we're referring to it only because that statement is in that policy, that grade change appeals have to come from the student.
Okay, if you go down a little further.
This one,
Yeah.
up here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, inappropriate reasons, I think you have a section on appropriate reasons.
We do.
Okay, wouldn't it be listed there? Because conceivably, that policy may in fact result in a grade change.
Right, you're correct. So that would be one of the edits.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katrina.
Oh, like after a grade appeal,
Yes.
Right, a
they
grade
could go
appeal
back.
Impact a
Would
grade
it
change.
not fall under one of these categories? I guess I'm trying to think of when a student, when a student wins one of those grade appeals, does it fall usually under one of these categories? Which would be like arithmetic, omission of an assignment, a grade?
No.
No? So there could
So
be
you
other,
Yeah.
so
It
what?
would be an appeal.
Yeah, so it'd be an additional bullet
That
saying
would say like
a
as a
grade-
result of an appeal or something?
Yeah, the result of a grade appeal.
Based on that policy. I would make sure you say the policy.
Based on, and refer to that policy. Yeah, okay.
All right, Patty?
I think as we move forward and evaluate both of these policies, I would like us all to be very mindful that the fallout from COVID is not yet over. And we are all going to be getting phone calls, emails, letters from students several years from now, trying to remedy whatever happened to them this year. And although I don't like the phrase semper gumby, I would like these policies to reflect that we don't want to tie the hands of faculty and departments to really help those students that we know are going to be coming back.
Thank you. Sabrina?
I have a hypothetical situation. I've had this happen. So it gets to be the end of the semester, and you have a student who has an extreme medical issue, so extreme that they're out of contact with you. They miss the final presentation and the final exam, so all of a sudden their grade is down 25%. Now, they aren't submitting an incomplete either because they aren't there. And they come back to you, say, in the middle of January and say, this and this and this happened to me, what can we do? And in the past, I've been saying, oh, we'll just make up the material and put in a grade change. Is that still going to be possible under this policy?
Sure, because you have 2 years to change a grade. So if that student got an F, they never submitted for an incomplete, but they have an F, you have up to 2 years to change it.
But it sounds basically the way it's phrased that the change is meant to remedy a mistake. That wasn't really a mistake. That was just something that happened. That was unfortunate.
Well, and that's what that's what grade changes before we had a policy, the only thing mentioned was it can only be changed if an error has been made in computation or recording. Now what do we say? Yeah, well, here it would be omission of assignments or parts in calculating the grade. That would cover that.
Linda?
Did my question was about the omission, like what does that mean? You know, because I'll have students who, I give them a grade, and then, well, they didn't do the last assignment, so then can they do that last assignment? And then can I change the grade? Because that's what I do.
I would think that's what that means, and that's why this policy is important, because again, previously, The only means we had, or the only justification for a grade change would be if a computation error had been made. Now, by including that second bullet, we're covering that student that didn't get an I, didn't finish it. You can still go back after 2 years.
I'm going to go in order. Katrina, then Tom, then Jim. Marianne, did you want to? All right, never mind. I didn't say Marianne. I didn't say that.
Joanne, I understand that this may just slightly conflict with the academic policy of grievance, whatever the full name is. So there are 3 reasons that are inherent in that particular policy, so it should match this policy.
Okay, I'm gonna take,
Great. Katrina, would you mind sending me that one so that I know exactly which
Yeah, they
one you're
would have
talking
to-
about when we get it together to discuss this one as well?
yeah, we should
Right.
refer to
Tom?
that one.
Yeah, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but what you have highlighted to me does not allow for submissions past the submission of the grade. It clearly says calculating. It doesn't say lately submitted or untimely submitted work. Can't we clean that up so you can say, it's not calculating the grade, the professor didn't omit it in the calculations, the student omitted in submitting it. So why don't we just say that it is allowable to change the grade for work submitted after the end of the semester, or not, depending on how you guys want to go forward. But that does, to me, that doesn't allow for somebody, this woman's example, or somebody comes to me 2 months from now saying, COVID, I forgot to do 4 tests, can I take them now? That doesn't allow them to submit that stuff then. It's not a grade calculation. I mean, if we could just clarify that, one way or the other, however you want to go.
Jim?
Our intent was to give faculty all the control out of this. We had long discussions on that, and I agree that faculty should have the final say in how all this is done. So when you have your examples, you can change the grade. It's not really, we're not saying, no, we encourage it. You know, do the right thing. That's what we're saying, do the right thing. The only issue that we wanted to build in here, so we have some academic integrity with the institution, is that there is some type of level of oversight and to make sure that it is on the up and up. We got stories of how grades were changed for a lot of different reasons from a lot of different people. And it was very disturbing to hear that. And so how do we correct that? So a simple way of creating some oversight, have someone review it and say, you know, you explained why you did it, grade to change. But the faculty have complete control of the grading process, above and beyond the extraordinary circumstances that may occur.
Great. Thank you. Looks like Tom's got one more for us.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, then why
Don't be sorry. This is what we're
no,
supposed to be doing.
I'm trying not to be a lawyer here, but why don't we then just say the faculty can submit a reason to change the grade? Because I'm telling you, if you interpret those 4 things, the situation this woman came up, the situation I've said with late grades is not permissible with those 4 restrictions. I'm not satisfied. So if I write in, I changed the grade because somebody submitted work late, a year later, whether it's COVID or not, or they came to me and they resubmitted assignments, it's not permissible with those 4 bullet points. Or say those 4 bullet points are not exhaustive of the reasons grade can be changed. You're either going to restrict the faculty to those 4 things, or you're going to allow them to make the decisions.
Right,
There's
so
no
you're
middle
saying
ground.
put in a net,
Yeah.
an additional bullet that covers those one-offs.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I mean,
Derek?
I'm going to point out that about 90% of the grade changes I do, and I don't do very many, are either 1, I messed up, look in the mirror, or 2, they finally gave me something that I needed to complete the course. So the form I fill out documents the reason. It's either instructor error or completed course, one or the other. And my thought is, since we've got the data, we should definitely track it. But I'm a little ambivalent about having people come to me to explain as their chair to review it, to be honest. If it's tracked and we can see a pattern, then we have something to work with. If we have to have it reviewed and we don't even bother to track it, then what's the point?
Thank you. Sabrina and then Kathy.
I'll just comment on that real quick. Derek, we did put in there's a statement here about a documentation will be stored and available to keep, and then grade changes will be monitored on an annual basis by academic standards. So we tried to get to that point, and that has not been a real common practice, if ever. Nobody's really monitoring those grade changes. So we did try and capture what you just said there.
Sabrina?
I think, didn't it say under unacceptable, it said personal reasons? Because there's a way that you could interpret that. Like, let's say that you have personal issues unrelated to academics. Well, what if you have a student whose father passes away at the end of the semester, and so then you're doing the grade change later to catch that student up? That is a personal issue unrelated to academics.
That's another good point. So I'll do Kathy and then Jim, and then we'll close it out. Kathy?
I think that's a very important point that Sabrina just brought up, because a lot of these things need to be done equitably, right? And I think what we're trying to do is make sure that students are aware that they have a voice to come to faculty and explain those situations to us so that we can make the appropriate grade change. And to Derek's point, we now need to go to our department chair and then to our dean. You've put 3 steps in the way of that student getting that work done quickly. And the registrar has been taking those sheets from us for years. I make a mistake almost every semester. I wind up making a mistake on a student's grade. And thankfully, they're smart enough to come and tell me. And I've had to make those changes. And if I had to wait for my department chair to look at that, I don't know when that would have gotten done.
Okay. And then Jim?
Again, I have to reiterate that our intent was to have faculty have total control over the grade changes. And we need to put it in writing, and there really should be oversight, because you may have good intentions, but others may not. And there needs to be some, for academic integrity of the college, there needs to be some oversight. When we were hearing about students that grades were being changed 3 and 4 different times over the course of a year, same student, same course, different grades. And so those guidelines that were put in there, the appropriate and inappropriate, were simply cut out of they were SUNY guidelines that we thought important enough to give you a roundabout idea of what they consider appropriate and inappropriate. So we decided to put them in. That's what it was. Are they perfect? We could probably sit here and add more and more and more, but they're definitely not complete.
Can I just add one more to my point? Okay. So I just, timeline-wise, for students who are graduating, if they have to wait for those changes once they've identified that they had an inappropriate grade given to them, they need those grades to transfer. So the longer we put that change out into the ether, the harder it is for them to get placement at their next institution.
Well, and I agree, we need a process for those approvals. We don't have that in place. I think Rochelle thought, because with Workday, it's a lot easier to change a grade, which is good for your circumstances you're talking about, but then bad in terms of them being not used in the right way. So if it's in Workday, the process should be quicker. If it's a paper form that we're carrying around campus, that's long. So we definitely, the process for the approvals would be a big topic that we'd need to work out.
Great. So I'm going to say with this topic, what we'll do is we'll take the SUNY, the policy that Patrina referenced, and I'm going to give Andy and Nessie some homework to figure out what exactly happens with Workday and grade changing and all of that, and is it, in fact, going to be too easy or a barrier or whatever it is. Let me know what Workday can do grade change-wise, and I'll add that to the Faculty Caucus of the Senate agenda, which is next week, next Tuesday. It's virtual, just, so... any other final comments on either of these 2 policies? All right. Thanks, Joanne. I'm glad you had your Wheaties today. You did good.
I did.
All right, so with that, again, awesome conversation, great back and forth, good points and all of that, and I really appreciate everybody's points of view and all the hard work that did go in to creating these over the summer with the subcommittee of academic standards. So again, once I have the additional docs, I will send all this out as well to the college community when I send the College Senate email update about all the things discussed, but I'll also send it out to the Faculty Caucus of the Senate listserv, and so everyone can, go through with their all the things that everybody brings individually to all of the work that happens here. The next College Senate is going to meet on Tuesday, November 9th. And one last thing that we have is for the good of the order. Is there anything that we did not discuss that people have questions on? Anything like that that you need, that we can talk about, that you need me to find out about? All right, any objections to closing the meeting? All right, it's 3:49 and 80 degrees outside. You're all free to go enjoy the sunshine before it's gone in like 50 minutes because it's also that time of year. Thank you, everybody, for productive conversation, and I'll see you in November. Thank you.